Prior to addressing council, members of the public shall state their name and address for the record, please. Anyone for public comment? Yes.
Hi everybody, I'm Jarrett Hopper at 309 Cogshell Street.
You may proceed.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to thank the council for offering this forum for village residents to bring public comment. When coming here 2 months ago, I didn't know if my concerns would be heard, and as I'm about to share, it was very pleasing to hear that they were. Thank you again for the opportunity. I have 2 topics to review with the village council related to the progress on our street with the individuals violating the speed limits, as well as some flooding that's occurring that I had a chance to speak with Mr. Walker about before the meeting. First, with the speeding part, shortly after the August meeting, we saw increased police presence almost immediately between August 14th and September 2nd, which did have a noticeable impact in the speeds occurring on our street. Thank you, Chief Narsh, and to the Holly PD for your assistance with this. With that said, we have seen some decreased presence since September 2nd, and we'd like to continue requesting the Holly PD's assistance in keeping the street monitored for excessive speeds. We do continue seeing offenders, in some cases the same offenders, primarily exceeding residential speed limits between the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 9 a.m., and then again between 3 o'clock p.m. and 6 o'clock p.m. daily, primarily around the times people arrive or leave the industrial park and or depart or return home from work. The second topic is one that has caused a great deal of stress, cost, and labor over the summer months for us, and that pertains to an overwhelming drainage system close to the corner of Cogshell and Fenwick Street. As everyone knows, we've had an extraordinarily large amount of severe weather this year, along with torrential rains. The drainage system at the corner of Cogshell and Fenwick is overwhelmed to the point that the water depths exceed 2 feet of water when overwhelmed. Additionally, this problem is further impacted by individuals driving north from the industrial park or manufactured home park, driving excessively against proper judgment to clear the flooded area, which as a side effect pushes a wake up the driveways of the residents close to the impacted areas into their backyards and simultaneously overwhelming the drain field of their homes. In the case of the day where we received over 6 inches of water in about the 45-minute time span, my wife and I literally cleared over 540 gallons of water from our basement over a course of several hours due to the water from the road flooding, related wake from traffic, and the river of water that went into our basement, or I should say into the backyard. The floodwaters from the street were so substantial over the summer that I literally began building a seawall out of tube sandbags to prevent flooding of my home. As a tax-paying member of the village, I shouldn't have to provide makeshift fixes to prevent damage to my home due to overwhelmed drainage system. I've also provided a picture of the last rainfall, much less than the 6-inch downpours that occurred, to showcase the flooding that has occurred. This picture that I'm showing the council is of my driveway. I'm standing right on the sidewalk of the driveway. My request is that the village take the following actions to address the flood concerns on our street. First, consider correcting the drainage system at the corner of Cogshell and Fenwick, as it's not draining correctly, which I did talk to Mr. Walker about. And then 2, consider closing off the street at the railroad tracks in the flooded section during the torrential downpours. Stopping the wake created by the cars attempting to clear the flooded areas would do a great deal of good while coming up with a better solution to fix the overall issue. Lastly, I'm stating the case to be on record for my family and for my neighbors impacted to showcase that this was brought to the village leadership's attention in the case that the floodwaters further impact or provide irreparable damage to our homes. I would ask that the village take these concerns urgently, and will be asking for the village to provide solutions to the issue, or at least something by the December council meeting for correction within 2022. Thank you again for your consideration of my request and for your time.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
I guess in public.
Yes, you are.
It's the chief's birthday too, by the way, as long as he's
Pardon?
up there. It's the chief's birthday, just so you know.
You don't have to sing. Yeah.
Buster's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
There are no
Younger than
secrets
Steve.
here.
I think we're close. Yeah, yeah,
we're
we're close. Yeah. Well,
Chief McGee?
good evening. We have an event coming up that we kind of stole from Councilman Powers. But we are in the midst, as you know, of trying to raise money for the Lucas tool, which is the CPR device that I think I've shown everybody over and over again. So what we're going to do on November 7th, which is a Sunday from 1:30 to 4, is we're going to go to Holly Lanes and have a fundraiser. Lucas, the Lucas tool, the Vetter, Carrie Vetter, lives just outside our community, and her son Lucas goes to school in our community, and he kind of liked his name being Lucas, and they went to Brighton Fire Department a couple years ago and saw one of these devices. So they've really helped different communities, a few now, raise enough money for one of these. We are actually now up to $12,000 out of our $16,000 thanks to them. So this should put us over the top. You all approved us financing it for, no interest over 3 years. We think we're just gonna be able to pay for the thing and be done with it and not use any of our own money. So it's wonderful news. Everybody's really pushing for it. But I have, if you can keep your calendar clear for that Sunday, I'll leave these out in the foyer, and it's $25 a bowler, $100 a team, and then if you know anybody that wants to sponsor a lane, that's $100, and raffle, there's going to be raffles and a lot of things. Pizza, much like Mr. Powers had. So we stole your idea. It's a good one, and we'll keep pushing ahead. But thank you.
Chief, what day was that?
Sunday, November 7th.
November 7th. Okay, thank you.
I have Rick Ayers and Gordy Dreyer in the first round of drafts. Yeah. I need the help. Any further public comments? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll close public comment. There is no old business. New business, Halloween.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So you have this special event application in front of you only because it's within the 60-day period that was not submitted prior to that. So this is an event that has occurred for the past several years, very successful, and it is sponsored by the Parks Commission. The date is October the 30th. The times are 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
I'll make a motion that we approve the special event application for Halloween.
I'll second that.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Delaney,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
McKinney.
Yes. Motion carried. Item 2 under new business, consideration of the approval of renewing HydroCorp contracts for cross-connection inspections. Mr. Clausen.
Chief was asking me if you wanted me to cover it for him, so I said, go ahead.
I don't even know what that is.
This is a 3-year renewal of a contract. We've had a contract with HydroCore or Hydro Designs since before I got here, so we're over 11 years. They started our residential program about 6 years ago, and all that is an outside inspection for any kind of cross connections, and mostly what they're looking for are your hose bibs to make sure you had an anti-siphon device on those. But as you can tell, the contracts have gone down this year for this 3-year cycle. So there's a savings of $3,400 for the residential and about $5,500 on the commercial. And they prepare all the reports that are due for Eagle and submit all those and then give us copies of them. So.
I'll make a motion that we approve the renewal of the HydroCorp contract for the cross-connection inspections.
I'll
No.
second.
Not
Motion is-
to exceed 12,600 for 3 years. Oh, excuse me, 30,120, that's per year, that 12,600. Not to exceed $30,120.
Motion and support.
Yeah, you have to finish it.
Just a comment, they really do meet all the requirements that, well, they meet the requirements of Eagle.
Yes.
For reports and inspections, and it's important,
Definitely a necessity too.
yes. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
Towers,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes,
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Delaney,
Yes.
McKinney.
Yes, motion carried. Item 3, under new business, consideration of the approval of resolution 2021-38, vacating the alley between 208 First Street and 111 North Street.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The village charter, section 6.8, public highways grounds, has a procedure for vacating an alley, street, or other public property that the village no longer deems usable or desirous to hold on to. Over the past few years, I've had discussions on and off with the property owners at 211 North Saginaw. If you look at the diagram on the second page, you'll see the property description ending in 008. That would be that address. Yep, and so that particular residence has no access onto North Saginaw. Most probably what happened, it was way before my time, but when that road was widened, probably took their driveway away, I would suspect. Or at least that alleyway continued all the way through to North Saginaw, which provided them access to their residence. For the past several years, the Birminghams, who actually live at that 211 North Saginaw, have either used that abandoned alleyway, or they have used their neighbor's property at 207 North Saginaw to access or exit their house. Earlier in the summer, Mr. Birmingham contacted me again and requested that this be brought to council to request a vacation of that particular alley. Now, with us tonight is Mr. and Mrs. Cascella. Is that close pronunciation? Yeah, okay. Thank you. I know. So they are the property owners at 207. And so they are on North Saginaw, 207 North Saginaw, the old Strands hair salon. They're the new owners. They're very happy to have them in the community. It's awesome. But they have some property interests in that part of the alleyway, in that they are adjoining neighbors, and a portion of their parking lot by previous owners, they paved into the alley already. And so James is going to speak in just a moment, if recognized by the chair, which I think is appropriate. He wants to just explain his interest in that property. And over the next 4 weeks then, pursuant to the charter as is written, you'll see that we have to post this and receive comment for 4 weeks. During that 4 weeks' time, what I propose to do is to sit down with the Cascellas, sit down with the Birminghams, and come up with a solution or a resolution. I'm pretty confident that we can do that to bring back to council when we meet again. Now, if this process is approved by council, Mr. Birmingham has agreed to pay for any costs that the village would incur in this process, and primarily the cost would be attorney fees for any review that is required. Other than that, there is no lot combination or lot split that has to occur. In speaking with Oakland County, all we have to do is do a lot line adjustment. And so if council approves this resolution tonight, what I would propose to do is to sit down with the Cascellas, with the Birminghams, hopefully come up with a resolution to bring back to council in 4 weeks. And then if everything goes through, we'll work with Mr. Gildner in the meantime, and then we will just facilitate a lot line adjustment. And so that's my intention.
Mr. Walker, may I ask a question?
Sure.
This property is not allocated, deeded to anybody?
No, nope, it's just sitting out there all by itself.
Okay.
Lester, do you have a question? No. Okay. Is it Mr. Koslik?
Kaskala.
Koskela. Yes, Mr. Koslik, come
I'll
forward.
remember that.
My mom calls it that way.
All right.
Do you want to make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come forward and state your name, spell your name.
Okay.
And give us your address. We don't make that spelling requirement, but it will help us, I think.
All right, thank you, Mr. President, Council. Name is James Koskela, Koskela. I'm here this evening to request that the alley is vacated and the majority of the alley be assigned or deeded, however you end up doing it, to Mr. Birmingham and Mrs. Birmingham, our neighbors. For the past, since we ended up moving in March, and since that time they've been using our driveway. We just have a verbal agreement, and it's worked out well. So I think them having access from, even if it's from the back, would be great. Originally, my main concern was ensuring that state law was followed with regards to the splitting of the vacant alleyway. It's my understanding that abutting neighbors to a vacated alley are afforded certain protections under state law. One such protection I have been informed of is that I think it's like split down the middle. Each property owner on each side has the right to it. So I think that's what happened. The alleyway used to go all the way through. So on our deed it says half of the vacated alley or something like that. So our neighbors have half of the old vacated alley and we have half of the other vacated alley. So it just kind of dead ends right into our property. For our situation, I believe this equates to roughly like a 5-foot wide by 40-foot long section. So the front of our property is 85 feet, rear is 80 feet. So there's just a 5-foot section in there. Originally, that's the only property that I'm trying to ensure we get is there was a retaining wall, and if the new neighbors move in or whatever and they decide to change it along the property line, it would be difficult for my wife's customers to get through the retaining wall and where the property line actually is currently. So before this meeting, I did speak with Mr. and Mrs. Birmingham and relayed that there was a meeting tonight and there was an item on the agenda and that we would be advocating for them to have deeded access to the alley with my wife and not advocating for a small 5-foot section. This discussion sadly didn't go over well. So we were informed that if Mr. and Mrs. Birmingham gain rights to the alley, they would be plugging the storm drain that runs into the alley that also predates all of us here probably. They would be building a wall, and they also have confusions of where the property line is. So we had a survey done, and they don't agree with what our survey says. So now this is in the span of like 2 hours this happened. So now I'm quite conflicted on what would be best for the area. And it's really troubling because our neighbors don't even really care about what the survey says. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Mr. Walker, you want to proceed with let me ask, how do
Yes.
you want to proceed, Mr. Walker?
Yeah, yes, we can proceed with it. We'll receive additional public comment. That will give myself and staff time to meet with the Birminghams and the Koskelas again, and we'll bring back. I mean, certainly we're not interested in creating a contentious situation with anybody, but just improving what's there. The alley has absolutely zero value to the village. In fact, carries liability with it to the village because it's a piece of property that we own that we're not doing anything with. And so, yeah, if this resolution is authorized, we'll move forward, have those meetings, we'll bring back all the information to the next meeting.
So we're just going to deem it advisable to vacate at this time?
Yeah.
Would that be us tabling?
No, it says that, I think we have to have a vote, and by majority vote, deem it advisable to vacate, discontinue, or abolish the alley. They shall by resolution declare that in the same, shall appoint a time not less than 4 weeks when they will make and hear objections thereto. So we'll do that, we'll take that action.
Okay.
And it'll be Is it less than 4 weeks next month? Should be,
It should be 4 weeks, yes.
4 weeks. So,
I have a question.
Ms. Musgrave,
Mr. Koskela, is your survey stamped and sealed?
Yes,
Okay.
I do have it with me.
Okay. No, I'll take your word for it. Thank you.
any further comments or questions?
So we're making a motion to move forward, and then it gets voted on again next time?
No, I don't know if it's voted on next time, or we have a hearing next time.
Mr. President, if I could,
Certainly,
yeah,
Mr. Gilder.
if this motion passes, you are not bound, you're not committed to taking this. This allows the process to continue, so that there's that 4 weeks of public comment, and then at the end, it'll be brought back before you, if that's what you wish to do.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
There's motion and support to deem it advisable to discontinue the alley.
Correct.
Any further comments or discussion?
May I ask the attorney a question?
Certainly.
Would the parking lot that they have that encroaches into the alley area, would that fall under adverse possession? I mean, they have permanently affixed something to that property.
You know, I'm uncomfortable getting too far into it because I don't know really all the facts and circumstances, you
Okay.
know, of where that property lies in relation to the vacated piece of property, who's used it, how long have they been there, those sorts of things. So I need to know some more before I offer any public comment on that.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question.
Ms. Musgrave.
Sorry. Mr. Koskela, you mentioned that, maybe it was you, maybe it was Jerry, that they were going to, the Birminghams were going to seal off the storm drain?
I didn't say it, Mr. Koskela said that, so
Okay.
that's new information for me also, that
have a
he
concern
had
with
discussion
that.
with the Birminghams.
Yes. So there's a old storm drain, or not storm drain, it's I guess we technically own it now. So there's a low point in our, next to one of our doors in the basement, the only door in our basement.
Okay.
And what happens is that runs right back toward the alley.
Okay.
So he said that if he gets the property, we need to seal it off, or it will be sealed off, I think is his terminology.
Yeah, because that's a flow drainage back there.
Right to the
I'm
alleyway. that's-
familiar with it.
Yes, sir.
But how will that impact, if that's sealed off, how will that impact your basement?
Negatively.
Flood.
That's what I thought. Okay. Then,
And I would not, we've talked about doing other remediation solutions too. I mean, we want to be good neighbors, so I wouldn't be closed to that idea, so of changing things up, but I'm not sure what that all entails currently.
well, I know that's been a problem.
Yeah.
With the drainage when Stephanie had it, so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we will make sure to make that part of our discussions with
Yeah.
all parties, so that we have that information for council when we return.
Definitely.
There's a motion and support.
Yes, sir.
I'm done with my
Any
questions.
further comments or questions?
No, I just thought of that, that's why.
Roll call vote, please.
Powers,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Musgrave,
Yes,
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Delaney,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes.
McKinney.
Yes, motion carried. More to come. Reports, Mr. Walker.
For everybody's listening pleasure, no report.
oh my goodness,
This may be a first.
it is. It is.
Mr. Gildner.
All that does is put pressure on me. I'll make it very, very fast. Number one, I gave some sample ballot language to Mr. Walker about the police services question, a special assessment. That'll be, I think, coming before you next month or maybe the month thereafter. But I'll be talking to Mr. Walker to fine tune that, finalize it before it's before you. With respect to Elm Street, Stocky, we were in court last week. The judge ordered, if we back up, she previously ordered an inspection of the property. We appeared for that inspection. Mr. Stocky refused, although he was in court to hear it, refused to allow the inspection. We were in court last week on my motion to hold him in contempt. The judge ordered that he reimburse the village all of its expenses, including attorney fees, the structural engineer, etc. The exact amount has not been determined, but she's ordered that all that be paid. She then ordered another inspection, which was to take place last week, and Mr. Stocky refused to let it go then at that time. So there's another motion for contempt. There's another request for fees, and if he hasn't put himself in the jail cell this time, I'd be very disappointed. I thought it happened last time. This time, I'll be pushing for the same thing.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gildner. Ms. Bigger,
Nothing to add to my written report.
thank you. Boards and commissions, Mr. Delaney. Council comments also, I'm sorry.
Thank you. The ZBA met on the evening of October the 4th. There were just 2 agenda items, the most significant of which was the sign variance for Holly Plaza. That was requested variance was 340% increase of the display area and 200% increase over the height ordinances. That seemed excessive to me, but I was overruled and that variance was approved. I'm wondering if, on a different topic altogether, I'm wondering if we could get an update on the property that we sold that had been used as the fire training house. I've talked to a couple of the neighbors, and it doesn't seem like there's anything being done with that property, so.
Sure. So Mr. Mills, the property owner, he has had a couple of structural engineers out there to examine the property. At first, I think when he purchased it, he thought it would be not an easy rehab, because if anybody's been in it or around it, it's extensive. But I think it was more serious than what he thought. And so I don't think he knows exactly what he's going to do with it. I've had a couple of conversations with him about getting the house buttoned up, secured, and in compliance, and so far that has not occurred. I did place a call into him today because we had some contact today from some persons inquiring about it also, and so I'm waiting on a call back. He is pretty responsive as far as calling back. I think he will. As you know, he's purchased several properties in the village and really has done some great work on the other properties that he has handled, but this one is not the case. And so we will follow up with him. I'm sure he'll call me tomorrow. When he does, I will give him a very short time period in order to react, and if not, then we will assign it to Jeremy Watson, who will follow up on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jeff's sick of looking at it.
Yeah, the dirt piles that have been there for months.
Anything further, Mr. Delaney?
No, thank you.
Mr. Weinbrenner?
Nope, nothing, sir.
Mr. Perkins?
HTC has not met. I have nothing.
They're gonna meet soon, aren't they?
Yes, Thursday.
Okay. Good. Ms. Musgrave?
Nothing to add.
Mr. Kinnaman?
Planning did not meet this month. We did have our first meeting for reviewing the ordinance ideas for marijuana, took some public comment and listened to presentations, and we are currently reviewing sample documents from other communities, and have another meeting scheduled next week, 6 PM on Tuesday. Was that scheduled in here too?
So we're still waiting to get the word on whether this room is available. Right now, that is the plan.
Okay. I did make public comment available at that last meeting. It's not typical in committee meetings to do public comment. If we do have others, I may consider that again. We are looking at a minimum of 3 meetings. First one was for the presentations. This next one we will come back and have formulation a little bit on the sample documents and ideas, and refer those hopefully to legal counsel at that point, and then review actual documents at another meeting. The hope is to have something to present in December to council, if we are ready. Otherwise, it might be on January, but our hope is for December. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Kinnaman. Mr. Powers?
Yes, the cleanup day was canceled this year. We didn't really find enough to do. We are looking forward to Halloween that's coming up towards the end of the month, the 30th of the month. And we're expecting a very big crowd. We have lots of donuts, lots of cider, and hopefully a lot of kids show up. It's a lot of fun. So if you're in the area, stop in.
What's the date of that?
It's 30th.
Okay, Saturday night. Mr. Shield?
Well, there seems to be a theme. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I have nothing to report. And one other thing, I guess. Happy birthday, Buster.
Oh, thank you.
And happy birthday, Chief McGee. That's my report.
Very complete report.
That's a world record time for Ryan.
There being nothing further, if there's no objection, we're adjourned.
Great.
7:37.
Pretty good.
Yeah. How quick is it gonna go? It's 7:15. Okay. Hey, I got something to show you.
It's just a